fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing? I'm so excited for today's video because we're going to be trying a new indie brand. They are Fantasy Cosmetica, and they recently came out with their very first palette, the Druid palette. So here is what it looks like. It has some really stunning shimmers, some grungy matte shades, and I talked about this recently in a PR haul. So many of y'all commented and said you wanted to see a video on this, so that is what we're doing today. Gonna go ahead, do some swatches, do an eye look. I'll kind of give you my first impression, how I feel about their formula, because like I said, they're a brand new brand. No idea how I'm gonna feel about it, no idea how any of this is gonna feel, perform, anything like that. So before we jump on in, if you are new to my channel, I do a ton of content about independently owned makeup brands. So if you'd like to see more of that, if you want to support more small businesses, please feel free to stick around, hit that subscribe button. You're gonna get tons of that on my channel. Let's go ahead and jump on in. So the very first shade is called Root. And I will just say really quickly, when I first opened this, my first criticism of the palette was that Root and Old Growth look so similar as far as shades go, especially for it being such a small palette. So I'm curious to see when we swatch them out if they will look a little bit more different on the skin than they do in the palette. So like I said, first we have Root. Okay, that's super pigmented. It feels very smooth. It's just a nice warm brown. And then we have Balance. This shade, I don't know if you can see the duochrome at all, but it is so pretty. It looks like such a strong flip from purple to teal. Okay, feels so smooth, super sparkly. I mean, that is just beautiful. I believe, I want to say this palette was $38 if I remember correctly, so it's not the most affordable indie palette that I've ever seen, so I'll keep that in mind as well. But I mean, that shimmer is stunning. So next we have the shade Forest, and this just looks like a really nice matte green. Again, pigmentation super smooth, really good. And my arm is just a little tiny bit stained from some swatches I was doing earlier, but here is the first three shades. I mean, that feels so smooth. Okay, that one not as much, but that could be my arm because I was just wiping off the, I was trying to get whatever stainage off I could. Let me do a second layer. Okay, no, that looks really good. Super pretty. I have a feeling the green is gonna stain a little bit because my finger did instantly stain, but let's go ahead and jump on into the next row. So we have the shade Bare Form, which feels super metallic, super smooth, and it's just kind of like a nice soft gold. Not necessarily my favorite shade, but I could see how it would work well with this palette. We have this shade Serenity, which again, that one looks so metallic, so pretty. I mean, just gorgeous, such an intense bright green. Tempted. Next we have Sage, which is another matte. Oh my gosh, okay, that is perfection. Look at that shade. Okay, it's a little bit softer in the pan, but I don't even care. That color is so good. Like that grungy green. Okay, wow. Oh, that matte. I mean, it looks so smooth. The color is just stunning if you like a grungy green. Next, we have the shade Transformation, and I feel like this is such a pretty like purple, green, shifty shadow. That one feels like a little bit softer to the touch, but the shift is really pretty. Again, I feel like the shimmers in here are stunning. We have the shade Regrowth. Okay, that, I knew it was too good to be true. Okay, I'm swatching it, and that one, it looks pretty, but that, like, it's like hard pressed in the pan. That's like pushing down. I feel like that one was pressed a little bit too hard. Like, the swatch that's coming off is pretty, but I feel like I don't know that it's gonna work that well unless you go in really hard. It's kind of like a really red base with like a golden and purple shift, kind of depending on how you're looking at it. And then lastly, we have the shade Old Growth, which is another pigmented warm brown. Okay, that's so pretty. I mean, that swatch is okay, but you can barely see the shift at all in that because it's just not, it's not coming off as well. Like I feel like that one was just pressed too hard. And then the last shade we have right here. Okay, so I feel like that matte is a little bit more red toned than this one, but still I would say my judgment sticks. I wish that one of them had been a little bit deeper, one had been a little bit lighter, something to make them stand out from each other a little bit more, but overall the color story is so, so pretty. The shimmers look beautiful. Like I'm very into it. I feel like first impression for a brand new brand, it's looking good. So there's what it looks like nice and up close. Okay, so jumping right on in, I already primed my eyes with the Anastasia eye primer, and I'm gonna start with the shade Sage. I just can't help myself. I mean, the moment I swatched it, I was in love. So I'm just gonna grab that on a fluffy, like a medium-sized fluffy brush. All right, so I'm gonna start that off on my outer V, kind of starting majority of the pigment right there. Just kind of seeing how it's gonna blend, and then I'm gonna start bringing that over into the crease. I mean, I feel like that blended really nicely. I'm not surprised though, because the texture of the mattes is really, really smooth. I'm just going in with a little bit more, but I feel like that looks really nice. I'm not quite sure how intense I want to go through my crease yet. That's why I was like, let me just start off with the outer V and see how I feel. I was just thinking now would be one of those times. It'd be so nice to be able to ask you guys, like, should I go more intense? Like if it was like a live stream or something. Because I was like feeling like I didn't know what to do. But then I thought about it and I'm like, I feel like if I asked y'all, should I go in more intense? The answer would always be yes. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that entirely through my crease and just build it up a little bit more. But as you could see, it blended so nicely. You could definitely do something lighter with it. Now going into the shade Forest, that deep, deep green. Just picking up a little tiny bit on a pretty small blending brush and just focusing that on my outer V. I like that this is a green that has a lot of depth to it, but it still looks green. All right, so once I kind of have that where I want it to go, I feel like it's already almost completely blended. It looks pretty good, but I am just gonna go into my previous brush and just go over the top real quick. So I think that's kind of the crease work. I'm not gonna do anything too much more. I feel like that definitely gets the job done, and I feel like the shimmers are kind of the focus of the palette because they're just so, so pretty. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this shade Transformation. Now I was about to say Transportation. Transformation, and I'm gonna use that along my entire lower lash line and see if we can kind of build it up and just get a good moment out of that. All right, so I'm picking that up with a little smudgy brush. Oh, I think I went in with too much. I picked up too much. I'm just gonna go ahead and take that along the entire lower lash line. I mean, you can see immediately that is so pretty. Okay, I feel like I love how the lower lash line looks. I feel like it actually showed just as intense as I wanted it to, packing it on. I feel like sometimes I can do like multi-chromes or duochromes on the lower lash line and it doesn't do that much, but this looks super pretty. So now I think I'm gonna go ahead and use that shade Balance for my inner corner, and I'm gonna kind of blow it out, maybe bring it up into my crease a little bit, kind of see what it looks like. So just starting that off, I'm using a smudgy brush. This is actually the BK Beauty 204, which is super, super nice. So just popping that on. Kind of bring it on the lower lash line a little bit and then up this way as well. Super pretty. So that might be like the most intense inner corner I've done in a really long time, kind of bringing it all the way up there. But I think it looks super, super pretty. So we're gonna go ahead and finish off with the shade Serenity. Just gonna pick that up on my finger actually, just because I feel like it's super, super smooth, super creamy. That's probably the best way to use it. Let's see. Oh my goodness. So pretty. So, so, so pretty. Can't handle it. I love when shadows just look so foiled and so metallic on the lid like this. I'm gonna grab the brush I used for my outer V just to blend the outer V real quick. I got just a little tiny bit of sparkles underneath my eyes, but nothing too bad. Off camera really quickly, I'm gonna do the We Makeup eyeliner in the shade Malachite Green through my waterline. And then I'm also gonna go into the Thrive Cosmetics Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara, and I'll be right back. Okay, so for blush today, this is kind of corny, but I have the LYS Satin Matte Cream Blush in the shade Kindness. Just looks like this. I feel like a good peach always looks cute with a green eye look, but I'm actually wearing a shirt that says Radiate Kindness, so like kindness blush. It like goes along, right? So just picking up a little bit of that, I'm just gonna tap it on the tops of my cheekbones. And then for highlighter, I pulled out the Alamar La Costa highlighter. Just looks like this. It's like a really pretty warm toned kind of golden shade. And I'm just gonna put that right at the tops of my cheekbones. And then a little bit on my nose. For lips, I'm gonna keep it super simple. I'm just gonna go into the Kaleidos lip mask in the Apple Lace flavor. I just love this so much. It's just like my new obsession. I feel like it smells so good, feels so good. This is the finished look with the Druid palette. I really love how it turned out. I feel like the mattes blended super easily. I am really impressed with their texture. I feel like they just feel so soft and so smooth in the best way, very creamy. Definitely reminding me of some of my favorite matte formulas. I don't know why I wasn't expecting that when I looked at the palette originally. And also this grungy green shade right here, I am so happy with. I'm so glad that's in the palette. It's just so beautiful. I feel like even with this look, I could have gone back and added some more of that in the crease and just gone even more, but still I love how it turned out. I feel like the shimmers in here definitely steal the show as well. Like the one all over my lid is just stunning. It is very creamy, so I'm curious to see throughout the day how it'll last, if it'll start creasing or anything like that. So I'll try and leave some comments in the description box for y'all if I have any more thoughts about how the palette ends up wearing, but I think that the shimmers look and feel super beautiful. The only thing I would say, like I said, just kind of repeating, there's two cons to this palette for me. The first one would be this shade right here. I feel like it's just slightly a dud. It's super pretty, but I just wish the formula was a little bit more like the other shimmers. It feels just a little bit too hard pressed. And then again, these two matte shades, I wish there was just a little bit more difference. So that's just my opinion. You can do with it what you like. I feel like after trying this palette, I'm definitely excited to see what Fantasy Cosmetica is going to do next. Feel free to let me know if you want to see any more videos on this, if you have any thoughts on it, if you picked it up, you're planning on picking it up. I'd be curious to hear, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!